Right, so dopamine resetting. It's sunny as fuck out here right now, but let's get straight into it. So dopamine resetting, we're going to go over exactly what dopamine is and how to actually reset your dopamine receptors to give you more focused, to endure more boredom, ultimately so you can get more work done. Because that's the goal, especially if you're an entrepreneur. The goal is boom. You don't want to get what they call burnout. You want to work for as long as possible without getting bored. That's the ultimate goal. So starting off, boom, we're starting off very harsh here. 48-hour harsh dopamine detox. This includes, boom, no screens, no food, 48-hour fast, only water, bit of salt, maybe some lemon water, whatever you want. No music, no fun social interactions. Basically just you and the wall. You stare at the wall for 48 hours and that is it. No, none of this stimulating, no scrolling. Say fuck you to that shit. No. And if you're not someone who genuinely wants to change, who genuinely wants to win in life, just click off this video. Because doing this 48-hour harsh dopamine detox, this isn't just no screens. This is as harsh as it gets. No push-ups, no working out, no TV, nothing, fucking nothing. No forms of dopamine whatsoever. Completely shut yourself off from dopamine. And you may be saying, well, what's the point of this? Well, you see, your baseline for dopamine, currently right now, you are probably overstimulated. You're probably up here, right? Your stimulation's up here. You're used to scrolling, things like this. And it's only the bad habits that give you instant gratification, where the dopamine's up here. And it's short-term instant gratification dopamine, obviously. But only dopamine from the porn, the jerking off, the scrolling up here is above your baseline here. Whereas if you do this harsh 48-hour dopamine detox, it completely resets your baseline. You see, it goes from where it was once here, now down to here. And let's say your baseline was up here at the start, right? The bad habits were up here, so it was providing you adequate stimulation, adequate dopamine. And the reading, the work, the boring shit that most people don't enjoy to do, that was down here. It was not providing adequate dopamine. At least not on the long term, right? You may be down here at the start of the day, boom, and it may provide enough dopamine. You may be locked in for the first few hours of the day. Just wait for this bloody wind. Hold on a minute. Sorry about this. So you may be locked in for the first few hours of the day. But you notice as you get more stimulated, maybe you listen to a few songs, you go on your phone, you go on social media, you see this, you see that, this, that, you eat this food, your dopamine receptors get more and more fried, you get more and more overstimulated, and now your baseline's up here. Our goal is to keep it as low as possible for as long as possible. And to do this, starting off, is the detox, right? So you reset your baseline to here, and the reading, the hard work is here, so it provides adequate dopamine. That is the goal, whereas before, it's up here. So this is step one. And if you're a pussy and you don't truly want it, click off this video. Don't try it because you are going to fail. I did this personally a few months ago, back in November. 48 hours, nothing, literally nothing. I've ran marathons without training multiple times. I've done insanely harsh, hard motherfucking workouts. From the bottom of my heart, this was the hardest of them all. Genuinely, this was the hardest. Because dopamine is the feel-good chemical. What is dopamine? It is the feel-good chemical. It is stimulation in your brain. I got a cup of coffee right here, right now. Boom. If you do this 48-hour dopamine detox, no coffee as well, by the way. Just water. I forgot to include that. But boom. If you just drink water, you get no dopamine for them 48 hours. Afterwards, even a cup of coffee, even drinking some coffee will provide you and stimulate you and give you dopamine. That is how harsh this is. You cut off everything. But boom, that is the goal here. And it's harsh, yes, but it has to be done. Now, how do we break this detox? It's all good doing the 48-hour detox, completely reset your dopamine receptors. This is crucial. But how do we break this? You see, No dopamine for 48 hours. Completely starve yourself like you're strangling your dopamine to death. This is the goal here. But let's say you break this dopamine fast, let's call it. By boom, you instantly go to scrolling. You instantly go to all the bad shit that you've been doing before. That you're doing this. The whole purpose you're doing this is to stop and eradicate those habits. If you instantly go to doing them again, they give you that instant gratification and dopamine. Your baseline's going to be even higher than it was before. This is called dopamine resetting for a reason. You're completely resetting your dopamine receptors. And when you break this, let's say, dopamine fast, how you break it is what actually, let's say, tells your dopamine system to actually want. I could phrase this a bit better. So, for example, let's say you do a normal fast. This is part of this dopamine detox, just a food fast, right? A water fast, it's called. When you do that fast, right, sorry about that, but like I was saying, if you break a water fast, the food that let's say you fast for 72 hours, 96 hours, 3 days. When you break that fast, the first thing you eat determines your new gut microbiome. Because when you fast, when you abstain from food for longer than 3 days, longer than 72 hours, it completely resets your gut microbiome. And if you instantly break that fast with chocolate bars, with sweets, with all this sugary shit, it's going to instantly fill your new gut microbiome with utter shit, with bad stuff you don't want in there. Whereas if, boom, you eat some organic eggs, you have a steak, you get that protein in there, all them nutrients, maybe even some beef liver. If you eat that, boom, all them nutrients, all of that stuff is going to create that new live gut microbiome, which is actually good rather than bad from all that sugar and stuff. So this is the key here. You break it with good food and also deep work. This is the key. No scrolling. Boom, you pick your task and you get straight to action. No sitting around, no waiting, straight to work. This is the second step. So boom, right now, maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's the day after, just say, fuck it, let's do it. 48-hour harsh dopamine detox. You want to change your life. You want to reset your receptors. You want to be disciplined and locked in. You do this, you break it exactly like I've explained here. The third step, you now need to slowly reintroduce the good dopamine, underline that shit, good, while staying clear of the bad. Let's just say for the next week, you slowly reintroduce this good dopamine. But since your baseline is now down here, whereas it was up here, if you stay clear of the bad habits and you don't do them at all, let's wait for this wind. If you stay clear of the bad habits completely, your baseline should stay here. And the good work, the work that you're doing, the workouts, the good food, the meditation, these things should provide you adequate dopamine. So you slowly reintroduce these good things because you don't want to completely fry your dopamine receptors. You don't want to go straight to doing all this heavy dopamine loading shit. But you slowly reintroduce the good. You start doing your workouts, you start doing the meditation, you start, doing the deep work, things like these. But you stay clear of the scrolling, you stay clear of, all the casual bad habits everyone knows of. And boom, you keep your baseline down here and you don't get too overstimulated. Because these good habits that provide good dopamine provide adequate enough dopamine that it stimulates you enough, but not too much. It doesn't instantly gratificate you so that you get overstimulated and your baseline raises and then you fall into this shit again. So slowly reintroduce this good dopamine and don't try your very absolute hardest not to do any of the bad stuff now. Because the more that you don't, the longer your baseline will stay here and you'll get more dopamine, more stimulation, and you'll genuinely begin to love doing the work. And that's what you want. If you love doing your work, you cannot fail. The moment you love doing what pays you is the moment your income 10x's, my friend. That's the goal. So number 4. Now here's the thing. Many of you, obviously, I'm assuming, I had this myself, you've done your fast, you've broken it well, you're slowly introducing these good habits, you're getting rid of the bad ones. but you still may feel tempted. And how do we fix that? You set restrictions and use this app blockers. This is amazing. Search on your phone right now, app blocker. Download the first one. Some of them you may have to pay, some of them you don't. You can literally download an app on your phone. You pick the apps, you pick the websites, whatever it may be. Maybe it's TikTok, maybe it's Instagram. You pick these websites, and then you can literally set a timer, which no matter what you do, you can't uninstall the app, you can't go on your settings, you can't do anything, literally anything. Once you set that timer, let's say for 7 days, you set the timer, you can't go on TikTok. Boom, no matter what you do, no matter if you try to delete the app, you can't do it. You try and do some little jailbreak, some little nerdy shit, let me jailbreak. None of that shit works. You now cannot use TikTok for 7 days. Game changer, absolute game changer. So I'd recommend this. You can use app blockers to cut out these distractions if you're having problems with this third step here, staying clear of the bad. So you can use this also. And then finally, now your baseline should be down here. You should be getting more stimulation from the work. You should be finding it easier to do the work. But also to keep it consistent, to keep this dopamine baseline down here. Simple. Do a small dopamine fast, just from the screen. You can still eat food. You can still talk to people. You don't have to just stare at a wall. But a small dopamine fast from your screen, just 1 day per week. Boom. No scrolling, no work, take a day off work. This could be Sunday, especially if you're a 9 to 5er. Boom, Sunday, no screens, you ain't got to work. Boom. You retract back and you cut out all that stimulation. And Sunday's even greater because it sets you up perfect for Monday and the next week. So that's great. But again, I wrote here depends on the situation. Because obviously if you're a massive business owner, you're worldwide, maybe you're like Andrew Tate, whatever. You can't always just completely fast from screens for 1 day per week. So depending on your situation, try your hardest to do this because it can change a lot. But if you're in a situation where you genuinely can't and you have to use your screens for whatever reason, then please do so. But apart from this, it's as simple as this, my friend. Back to the start, the dopamine resetting. Do your 48-hour harsh dopamine detox. We're doing a little summary here. Boom, harsh dopamine detox. Simple. No screens, no food, no music, no interactions, no nothing. Just stare at a wall for 48 hours. Boom. It's harsh, but if you can discipline your mind to get through it and you truly fucking want it, you can do it. I did it, so can you. Boom, you break the detox with good shit to completely reset your dopamine system with good dopamine. You slowly reintroduce the good dopamine, stay clear of the bad. I've completely drawn over the text, but who cares. Number 4, you set restrictions and use app blockers to cut out the distractions. So if you're feeling tempted for whatever reason, download one of these app blockers, set a non-negotiable timer on it where you cannot use certain apps and websites. Boom, there's nothing you can do. You can't use them now. Do that if you're struggling, I highly recommend. And then finally, do a small dopamine fast from screens 1 day per week if you can. And when I say if you can, no excuses, unless you genuinely physically can't. There's a solid back reason why you can't. Then 1 day per week, no screens. It's as simple as that. So put this into action. You know, the secret to success is raw action. Just do this right now and you'll notice, once you put this into action, how much more fulfilled, how much more dopamine you get, how much more purpose you feel doing your work. And you realise you no longer need all that high dopamine music. You no longer need all of them, you know, all the TV, all these distractions, all the scrolling, the social media. If you do this and you act on it properly. Keep going.